Don't tell my Steam Deck, but I think I'm in love. That's right, this is the ASUS ROG, the ROG ALLY X. Yes, we have one. Big thank you to ASUS UK for sending this over and letting me test this for quite a while now. I've not rushed a video out because I actually genuinely wanted to use this as much as possible and get some honest thoughts and feedback, and I never got to experience the first Ally, and I'm so glad I get to experience this. So if you don't know, the ALLY X just here is a Windows-based computer, and it is pretty tasty in the spec. Now this is essentially like the ROG Ally 1.5. It's not the ROG Ally 2. It's like an incremental upgrade. We've got a larger 80 watt hour battery inside. We've got 24 gigabytes of RAM. We now have a USB 4 port on the top instead of their like proprietary thing for like eGPUs. You can now, use any sort of external GPU to increase the performance even more if you want to, and a bunch of other stuff. But I just want to get into my experiences with this. I can't do a deep dive in terms of performance and exact FPS that I'm going to squeeze out of everything, because this is actually like a test unit. This is not a retail unit, and ASUS said you can't show FPS and stuff like that, and that's fine because I'm just gonna ramble at you anyway. So this is it just here, and honestly, I didn't think I would love the black edition as much as I actually do. Looking on photos and stuff, I'm like, nah, I think I prefer the white, but in person, the black makes all the difference because it's so dark. It sort of centers your eyes on the screen and your game alone, and I actually think it helps immersion. And yes, it does have RGB LED sort of anti-friction rings around the joysticks, but you can turn them off, and save a little bit more battery life as well if you want, or dim them or whatever. We now have that USB 4.0, so like the fastest USB port you can get now. Obviously supports like GPUs and stuff external, but one thing I absolutely loved in my use case was being able to have my headset plugged in via the USB just there and be gaming, and then have the battery go down and go, hang on, you're at 10%, and then I can go, all right, yeah, I don't need to mess around with a dongle or any of that rubbish. I can just get the charger and stick it in the other port just there. And I was like, oh, that is brilliant. Like, that just makes things so much easier having two, because I hate faffing around and having to get like dongles and stuff. Like, I don't want to do that. Just give me 2 ports, and ASUS have done it. And then on the top as well, we've got our volume rocker, we've got our micro SD card slot, we've got our 3.5mm jack, we've got our power switch, which also has a fingerprint reader, and oh my days, is it quick. It's so fast. Like, you just touch it and it's like bling, like signing you in. But my biggest thing that I want to start with is ergonomics. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, when I very first saw the Ally, the original, I saw the right stick placement being asymmetrical, and I was just like, oh no, like I can't do that, because on like Joy-Cons and stuff, it cripples your thumb down where, you're like bending your thumb down here trying to play, and it's not comfortable. However, this redesign of the X, I'm gonna say it, this is perfectly ergonomic. So much so, I actually think this is better than the Steam Deck. So let me just show you really quickly, because the Steam Deck just here has the sticks up the top, right? And I always thought naturally that's where your thumbs want to rest, and that's correct, right? So that's really nice and ergonomic. However, when you're trying to shoot and aim with the right stick, my top extension of my thumb, I can't really do it. I find it really difficult to play shooters on this thing because the stick's too high. I don't have enough movement and range of motion with my thumb. However, and this was totally not expected, the X just here, the Ally X, they've redesigned it so that it's more comfortable in the palm of your hand, which it totally is. But watch this. Oh, I now have complete and utter control of this right joystick. It blew me away because I thought this was going to be one of the things that really let it down for me. But actually, this is one point that makes this stand out like massively, that I can play FPS games on this. I played Call of Duty against PC players with mice and keyboard, and I won top of the leaderboard 3 rounds out of 5 that I played because the thumbstick placement is that spot on. I was laughing. I was just laughing and laughing and laughing because I was winning on a handheld. I really like all of it. The face button placement is nice as well. The D-pad's been improved and it's really good. I can't say about the previous one because I've not used it. Getting to the triggers as well, great. The new redesigned back paddles, I didn't think I'd like these because they're so small, but actually they sit in your hand lovely, like when you're actually playing like this, and I've not had to do the pinky rest either. So a lot of the time with handhelds, I'm holding it like this to sort of take the weight. You don't need to do that because it's so nicely rounded in the corners and palms of your hands. Once it's in, you just sit it in and it is perfect. Your fingers rest on these back paddles. Oh, it's lovely. The ergonomics are much better than I imagined. Honestly, until you handle this thing, you don't realize how comfortable this is. And playing FPS games, oh, it is just beautiful. And now I want to talk to you about the gaming, which is the most important part, right? And I actually think I'm having more fun gaming on this than on my Steam Deck. I'm sorry Valve, but I've been having an absolute blast playing this. So yes, I'm not gonna give you specific performance results or anything like that, but you've got a 10 watt mode, a 15 watt mode, a 25 watt mode, and if you plug it in, well, then you've got a 30 watt mode. So I've been playing a lot of stuff at 15 watts just to eke out a little bit more battery life. And honestly, even at 15 watts, which is the maximum of the Steam Deck, this thing runs just so well. Like, it's so good. And one of the biggest things is actually the screen. We've got a VRR screen, and oh, it just blows me away. I honestly thought I was gonna miss the OLED screen of the Steam Deck, but having 1080p really makes a difference because it makes everything look really crisp, but it's also 120 Hertz, it's VRR, so variable refresh rate, and it's got FreeSync as well. I mean, this display is ridiculous, and honestly, I've not even noticed the lack of OLED because of what this VRR and FreeSync technology can do. It basically marries up the output of frames from the GPU, the APU, to the screen, and it stops tearing and jittering and all that kind of stuff. It basically makes everything buttery smooth. Now, it does have VRR, and that is sort of between supposedly 48 and 60 FPS, which a lot of games, I'm not saying because I'm not allowed to talk about it, but a lot of games you're going to be around that sort of point depending on the power settings you're using, right? And if you're in that point between 48 to 60 FPS, then the VRR panel comes into play and it just syncs everything up. It is so buttery smooth. There is no jitter, there is no tearing. Like, it is just so good. Now, obviously with that VRR as well, it means you don't need to use VSync between those FPS. Now, when it goes above that, I was playing some games at 120 FPS. I'm not saying what or at what power settings or anything like that. But yes, I was using VSync then because I was getting tearing because there was such a high frame rate. VSync cleaned that up. I didn't lose any FPS either. So, I mean, the capabilities of this screen alone is ridiculous. Now, yes, it is LCD, so at slight angles it washes out, but who's watching it like at an angle? Like, honestly, if you're playing this, you're going to be looking at it directly and you have no problems with that absolutely whatsoever. And the other benefit as well is most games these days have FSR built in, whether that's 1, 2, or 3, right, which is going to basically upscale a lower resolution to give you more FPS, which is exactly what handhelds like this need to use less power and get more FPS and a crisper image. And it just looks phenomenal. I've been getting some really good performance. I'm not allowed to tell you about it though, but I've been blown away by this. And the other good thing is, if the game doesn't support it, then the ROG Ally itself has RSR and RIS as well for sharpening. So it's got its own like driver level upscaler or sharpening tool just to make everything look really good. But that 1080p, I honestly, for ages, I've been saying in other videos, 1080p on a handheld's overkill. I actually don't think it is. On this, it's so crisp, like it really looks better quality. And again, with the help of an upscaler, you don't even notice. The frame rate is higher. It's a crisper image. I've just been loving it. So yes, we do have Windows on this device. And you know, I was thinking, oh, I don't know about having Windows on devices like this, you know, but honestly, it's so easy to use. You press this, there's like an auto mode, controller gamepad mode, or you've got desktop mode. And if you stick it on desktop mode, then you've got right click on the back trigger there, and then left click on the bumper just there and stuff. And it just makes this so easy to use, and it's a touch screen as well. So there's no difference of using this than you are using a gaming PC. Now, yes, I do think that Microsoft, this is not ASUS's problem, but I do think Microsoft should release a slimmed down version for these handhelds. But honestly, I've not had a problem. At a touch of a button, you can bring up Armoury Create, which is ASUS's software just here, and then you can see all the games that I've got installed on the system just here. And then you can hover over one, press X, game profile and all that kind of stuff. So I can remap per game and it will save all my remapping and everything. Same with the triggers, the vibration, the gyro, you know, I've got dead zones and stuff I can set per game profile, and then I can just launch any game here. So that's the benefit of this. Even though it's Windows, ASUS have kind of come together to make Armoury Crate really accessible, so you don't need to go and open a specific launcher and then go that way around. You can just literally click this button on the right here, bring this up, and just launch any game from this. And it makes it so much more user-friendly. It really, really does. If I right trigger, it brings up all the platforms. So I've got Xbox, Steam, you know. If I use the bumpers, you can go in and really deep dive into all of this. You've got different sort of launch animations as well. Themes, I set mine to dark mode because who uses light mode anymore? Like, seriously? You can calibrate everything. There's an update center, so you can just get all your driver updates. But one thing I really love is this, the command center. So you can edit this and you can choose what you want on this row. So I've just gone ahead and put loads on there. So let's just like remove that. You can see here that I could choose something different if I wanted. And then let's go back to Windows, right? If I press this button on the bottom left, it now brings this up and I can load this over games. So I've chosen like to change the TDP here or the controller mode. You've got game profiles, keyboard, real-time monitor, FPS limiter, show desktop, you know, embedded controller, RSR, RIS, resolution, refresh rate, screenshot, record or end task. Like there's so much stuff you can do just from this at a touch of a button whilst you're in a game. I absolutely love that. So whilst most people see Windows as being the downfall of the Ally and the Ally X, I actually think it's its biggest thing because it lets you play all your games, which is ASUS's tagline, right? And they're not wrong. They are absolutely not wrong because it is running Windows. You can just play any Windows game. Unlike the Steam Deck, where you've got to jump through hoops to even stream Game Pass or anything like that. There's so much you need to do if you want to play anything outside of Steam. This just does everything. And you can launch it from ASUS's software just there. But the fact that you can natively play Game Pass on this device blows my mind, especially since the Xbox Showcase that's just come out. Check out mine and AJ's podcast about it. There's so many amazing games coming, and there's already a bunch of amazing games on there, as well as the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Game Pass, so you just need one sub. If you pair that with an Ally X, like, you are laughing. I was playing loads of stuff. I was playing Hellblade 2 on this and it looked phenomenal. Hi-Fi Rush as well, which is absolutely insane. The performance was spectacular on this device. I'm not going to tell you what it was though. And then I was playing Call of Duty as well. Like there's so many things. Even Starfield I was playing on there. I just loved the fact that I could do that. And because it's Windows as well, it supports anti-cheat software. Obviously, that's why we're playing Call of Duty, right? But also playing games like Destiny 2. I haven't played Destiny 2 in forever, but I can here. I can't on my Steam Deck. I can't play Call of Duty. Can't play anything on Game Pass unless it's on their stream inside of it, and then I'm limited by the internet. This just does away with all of that. It runs better, it looks better, and it's natively playing on the device. I don't need internet. Like, I love it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about this is literally you are not held back at all whatsoever. You just play what you want. And again, with what's coming on Xbox Game Pass, you can just play so many games day one on this device anywhere you want. Like, it's just fantastic. And for me, that's big because if I want to play downstairs with my wife, she plays on the Xbox, and usually I have to go, I'll drag my laptop out. I'll drag the power cable for that out. I've got to set my headset up. I've got to download all the updates because I haven't turned it on in forever. I've got to get a controller and sync it to the laptop. Most of the time it puts me off. But I was like, hang on, I'll play COD with you. And I just went, boop, turned it on, and away I'm going. Like, so easy. And of course, we've got this whopping 80 watt hour battery inside now, which is just fantastic. I don't think I'm allowed to tell you about the metrics of that either. And honestly, I'm not going to sit there and like test it with voltmeters and stuff, but I can tell you that it is a noticeable improvement from other people's graphs and stuff of the original Ally. When I saw those, I was like, I don't know if that's playable for me personally. I don't know if I can deal with an hour battery life or whatever. This gives you a lot more than that, especially if you fine tune the settings, tweak the power, TDP and stuff like that. Like, I was getting really good battery life out of this. But I also want to say that they've obviously redesigned the chassis and all the cooling inside as well. And that is what blew me away. My Steam Deck gets hot. Like, you can feel the heat when I've been playing for like multiple hours. I played 4 hours on this, right? A good amount of that time was off the battery, and then I plugged it in and I bumped the TDP up to 30 watts for even better performance, carried on playing. I played over 4 hours with this, and then I just thought, hang on, like, it's cool. It's cool to the touch. The whole thing was cool. The only bit that gets hot is like up here, which you don't even feel anyway. You can just feel a bit of heat here, but the rest of the thing was cool to the touch. That really blew my mind away. Like, it absolutely, I was just like, how have they done this? But the other internal thing they've done as well, which I didn't mention at the start, is it now supports 2280 SSDs. So no longer do you need to fiddle around, faff around trying to find a cheap 2230, right? You can get a 2280 and stick it in here. Much cheaper, much greater capacity, and you can just stick it in this without any mods or anything like that. That's a fantastic move. But of course, it does come with a 1 terabyte drive now, which is amazing. So yeah, I could go on rambling about this all day long. This video is already too long, but I am blown away by this. I honestly wasn't expecting to be converted, but I think I am. Like, I'm gonna miss this when I send it back. Now, yes, the price is increased because it's got more specs, more RAM. Like, you know, there's lots of different things going on here than it is in the original. This is like the definitive edition, right? So this is $799 here in the UK. The amount of fun I've been having in this past week, I don't want to give this back. I mean, ASUS can this get lost in shipping? But anyway, that's my biggest con, is that I can't afford one and I want one. I definitely want one of these now. And my wife even said, if you're gonna buy one of these, can I have your Steam Deck? And I was like, So there we have it. What do you think of the ASUS ROG Ally X? I'm actually blown away by it. ASUS, it's my birthday coming up, so think of me, please. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Whilst you're down there, like this video, subscribe, become a member, and you can see these videos early, and you can join our private Discord and even game with me and AJ and stuff. And talking of AJ, go check out our podcast where we talk about all things gaming, and check out another video from me down here. Thanks for watching. Bye.